This is Jeff Makinen at DRF Sports. Today I will be analyzing the Big 12 championship game, which will be played on Saturday between Baylor and Oklahoma. Both teams coming in at 11-1. The game will take place at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. DRF Sports provides you with all our great sports analysis for NFL, college football, NBA, college basketball, and the NHL. All these sports currently going on right now. You get access to real-time betting trends, exclusive power ratings, and more. Log in at sports.drf.com today, and let's start winning. Oklahoma, currently an 8.5-point favorite in this matchup. The line opened up at 9.5, so it has come down a little bit to Baylor. Over-under has moved up from 62.5 on the opener to 64. Looking at our game estimates, estimate number 1 calls for Oklahoma to win 41-30. Estimate number 2, similar score, a little tighter at 40-32. Interesting to note that both of those have edges on the over here. Powerline has Oklahoma as a 5-point favorite. So taking a consensus of the 3, you'll be around Oklahoma -8, so the odds makers are pretty much right on the money in this one with the current 8.5-point spread. Over under between the two estimates, you're going to be 71.5, so there is value, as I mentioned earlier, on the over here. Both teams come in at 11-1. They do it a little bit differently in terms of style. Oklahoma averaging 304 yards per game with their star quarterback, or passing yards per game with their star quarterback Jalen Hurts, and 11.3 yards per pass. Those are pretty high numbers there. They also run it extremely well with 260 yards per game rushing at 6.4 yards per rush, amounting to 44 points per game. However, defensively, they do give up a lot, 25 points per game defensively. Baylor has gotten to their 11-1 record primarily through defense. The Bears averaging or allowing just 4.8 yards per play defensively and 18 points per game. These teams have played similar schedules. 37 is the average power rating of opponents played for Oklahoma and 35.1 for Baylor. One other interesting thing to note, Baylor also thrives on the turnovers, plus 12 in the turnover differential. Oklahoma is a -5 on the season. Into our betting angles, Matt Rule, the coach of Baylor, is 12-1 against the spread versus excellent rushing teams, and we qualify that as teams who average more than 5.25 rushing yards per carry. As I mentioned, Oklahoma is 6.4, so that does bode well there for Baylor. A couple of contrarian type systems pop up in favor of Oklahoma, and they're basically similar type conditions. In this one, it says to play on any team who was beaten by the spread by 49 or more total points in their last 5 games if the game is being played in December. So obviously that's going to include a lot of conference championship games and also bowl games. Now, teams beaten by the spread by 49 or more total points over a 5-game span, that basically refers to the number of points difference between the final outcome and the spread, and that's total points over a 5-game span. So that indicates a team that has been underperforming relative to the odds, and perhaps in this case it is calling for them to reverse themselves and actually get back more towards expectation. The opposite side pops up here in a system that favors Oklahoma to bet against a team like Baylor after beating the spread, so exactly the opposite, by 49 or more total points over the last 5 games. A top-level team, 80% record or better, which is Baylor, playing another team with a winning record. Oklahoma obviously has a winning record. That would be 78-37. So those two systems basically are telling you similar stories about one team overperforming and one team underperforming relative to the odds, of course, and that it should reverse itself. Taking a look at our betting action in this game, 58% of the action, the public betting action, favors Baylor, 42 Oklahoma, 74% likes the over, and it has coincided with that move up of the total of 62.5 to 64. 26% on the under. One more thing to look at, these two teams did play earlier in the season. The game was in Baylor. Oklahoma prevailed 34-31. However, Baylor did have a 31-10 lead at the half in that game, and Oklahoma rallied for the victory. And statistically, the game wasn't as close as that would indicate, as Oklahoma did outrush Baylor by 100 yards and gain 100 yards more passing. But in typical Baylor fashion, they did win the turnover battle and thus kept the game close in the end. Overall in the series, Oklahoma, not surprisingly, has dominated. They're 21-3 straight up versus Baylor since 1992. When these two teams met a few weeks back, Oklahoma did get off to a slow start, as I mentioned. I don't expect that to happen again here. I think the Sooners will put up enough points. I also think Baylor, given Oklahoma's defensive deficiencies, will produce themselves. And I do agree with our game simulator that this one should go over that 64 total. Thanks for watching. This is Jeff Makinen at DRF Sports, Twitter handle @SportsDBExpert. Talk to you soon, and best of luck this Saturday afternoon.